This is Tales and Whispers, where every story is felt, not just heard.
Okay, so we're about to dive into the story of a man who lived his entire life pretty much as a mystery, only to reveal an absolutely staggering secret after he was gone.
Yeah, it all boils down to this one single number, $11 million. This is the fortune that just appeared, seemingly out of nowhere. And it's the key to understanding a life that, turns out, nobody really saw at all.
So here's the big question, right? How did a man nobody even noticed, a guy that pretty much everyone misjudged, end up with a fortune this massive? And, maybe more importantly, what in the world did he do with it?
The story really begins not with a life, but with a death, and a donation so huge it sent total shockwaves through his entire community.
So this is the man at the center of it all, Alan Naiman from Washington State. By all accounts, he was just a normal guy. He didn't want the spotlight. In fact, he pretty much ran from it, moving through life almost like a ghost.
All right, to really get why this was such a bombshell, you've got to understand the man people thought they knew. This was the public version of Alan.
On the surface, his life looked pretty straightforward. He was a social worker, made an average salary, and was intensely private. But, people did notice a few things. He worked constantly, sometimes holding down 3 jobs at once, and he was incredibly, almost obsessively careful with his money.
And this is where it gets really fascinating, right? People saw these little details, the shoes held together with duct tape, the old beat-up car, always shopping at Costco to save a few pennies, and they drew a really simple conclusion.
In this quote, wow, it just hits the nail on the head. His friends, his colleagues, they were sure he was a miser. They thought he was just hoarding cash because he was afraid to spend it, that saving money had become his only purpose. They saw the how, but man, they got the why completely wrong.
But here's the thing, that was just the cover of the book. Behind that super frugal exterior was a reality that literally no one could have ever guessed.
Because the truth, it was the complete opposite. He wasn't poor. He wasn't hoarding money for himself. He was playing the long game, carefully guarding a secret that stretched back for decades.
So, you're probably wondering, how on earth did he amass $11 million? Well, it wasn't just one thing. It was a 3-part plan. First, decades of saving every single dollar he could from those multiple jobs. Second, he made some really smart, quiet investments that just grew and grew over time. And third, he had an inheritance from his parents, which he also invested really wisely. And when you look at his life on a timeline like this, it's just incredible. For most of his life, he was building this massive fortune in total secrecy. Then in 2018, he sadly passed away from cancer at just 63. And it was only after he was gone that the real story, the true purpose of his entire life, finally came out.
Which brings us to the real why, the heart of this whole thing. Why live a life of extreme frugality when you're secretly a millionaire? Well, the answer is really powerful.
And boom, here's the big reveal. That entire fortune, all $11 million, was left to charities that help sick, poor, and vulnerable kids. The man everyone misunderstood was in fact a silent guardian angel for children who really needed one.
Just let this number sink in for a second. $2.5 million. And get this, that wasn't the total. That was just one of his donations to one single organization.
And you know where that money went? To a care center for babies born to mothers struggling with addiction. It was the single largest gift they had ever received in their entire history. It completely changed everything for them.
And just when you think that's amazing, wait, there's more. He also gave another incredible gift, $900,000. This time, it went to an organization that provides essentials for kids in foster care, making sure they had the support and resources they needed. Are you seeing the pattern here? His focus was always on kids who were falling through the cracks. So why all the secrecy? Why not get a little credit? Well, for Alan, it was never, ever about him. He didn't want his name on a building, he didn't want a round of applause, and he definitely didn't want a thank you post on Facebook. He just wanted his life's work to make a real, lasting impact. That's it. Simple as that.
So what are we supposed to take away from all this? Because this incredible story is about so much more than just secret generosity.
Man, this quote really says it all, doesn't it? It's such a profound reminder that we almost never see the full picture of another person's life. We see the cover, the taped up shoes, the old car, and we write our own story. And a lot of the time, we miss the truth completely.
So how do we actually bring this into our own lives? Well, here are a few ideas. First, maybe focus more on action instead of announcements. Second, think about the power of giving anonymously. Third, remember that generosity isn't just for millionaires. It can be your time, your support. And finally, and this is maybe the most important one, let's just challenge ourselves to look past the surface before we jump to conclusions.
And that's what it all comes down to, really. Alan Naiman made a choice. He chose the good that remains over the good that is seen. And that leaves us with a pretty deep question to ask ourselves. In a world that's all about celebrating public acts of kindness, what's the value of the good that no one ever sees?